Detroit Lions fans, welcome back in. Steve and Will back with another banger. We've been putting out some good ones for you guys lately. All we ask, take a millisecond out of your day, hit that subscribe button. Will, the hits just keep on coming for this Detroit Lions team. There's a hint of frustration in my voice. Mehki Wingo out for the season. We'll talk about that, some other things, but I don't even know where to go. I don't even know where to go anymore, Will, with all these injuries. How are you feeling?
I didn't even know Mehki Wingo was a thing. I didn't know that this was like a potential thing that could be happening. I didn't know he had a hangnail, let alone a season-ending injury. So that was news to me in the press conference today. Um, had some had some body doing an estimate for some work around the house today. I'm like, oh man, okay, Lions press conference. Let me listen to that while this guy is doing his thing. And then next thing you know, I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah, hey man,
What
you gotta get out of my house now. I'm no
you
longer
do?
interested.
I'm not in a good space, sir. Like, no. Shout out to Brian, man, family friend, man. But I don't know.
Maybe it's
Uh,
Brian's fault. Maybe his
family friend.
energy and his vibe put this into the world. I don't know. Don't know him and
Man,
never met him, but like
he's
you
good
said,
people.
I don't even know what the injury is. Like it's just a season ender, surgery required. I haven't seen. Do you know what it is? Is it a knee, a shoulder, um,
I
molar
don't know
tooth?
what
What are we
it is.
talking about here?
I don't know. We hopped on fairly recent after me hearing about it, so I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet. But just definitely not happy. Definitely not happy about it.
My level of concern is growing more and more by the day. Like we're starting to get into waters where I can't even name all the injuries anymore. I can't keep track. It's all on the defensive side of the football. I'm getting frustrated. There's some things I like to address. Like, listen, we read all your guys' comments. All right. There's not a comment that goes unmissed. All right. Whether or not we reply to it, we apologize. Sometimes we feel if we need to formulate on a reply, we will. But I've got a very good gauge when it comes to dissecting sarcasm. I've seen some people asking for JJ Watt. Let me just squash that. JJ Watt is not going to be a Detroit Lion. All right. It's not going to happen. I've seen two people commented on yesterday's episode. JJ Watt has came out and publicly said he is very happily retired. He enjoys his morning routine with his son, taking him to school. He's happily retired. He's not putting pads back on. He does good in the booth, wherever he's dissecting games. Guys, I get it. These injuries are frustrating. They're frustrating for me. They're frustrating for Will. They're frustrating for Brian, who comes over just trying to put in a hard day's work. It's just we got to try to keep this realistic. So, yeah, another man down. And Mehki Wingo, he was one of my favorite draft picks. Like I really thought that this dude had a high ceiling. I think he's shown very, very small flashes of being a good contributor, but we'll have to wait until 2025 to see any more of him.
Disappointed, man. Disappointed. I don't know, man. Uh, I don't. I really don't even know what else to say about it. It's one thing to know something is potentially coming down the line. It's another thing to just get hit in the face with it. So, um, yeah, I don't know. What else you got?
I just wouldn't want to be Brad Holmes right now. Like this dude is literally just probably wreaking havoc on his laptop trying to find players available to come to Detroit that are healthy just to play football. Like we're starting to get down to like, man, I just need bodies out there. Like that's really how it's starting to feel. And I know that that's not what it is. I'm sure Brad has lots of long sleepless hours in his office, him and Dan. But man, I really am getting frustrated with these injuries. So I've seen some other people calling out our strength and conditioning staff guys. It's the NFL. All right. This kind of stuff just happens. All right. It's a big man's game. All right. There's other teams that are banged up. Now, if we wanted to compare roster for roster, injury for injury, yeah, I'm sure we'd probably be at the top of the league. But we went on a deep playoff run last year, short off season. Like there's a lot of things that contribute. Blaming the strength and conditioning staff is probably not where I would want to go either.
I would like to. I like what you talked about. Now I don't want to rehash it, but as far as the Thursday games, figuring out a way to do the schedule so you're not playing 3 games in 10 days or whatever it is. But I would like to bring to light how they do business. So I know we had a super light week last week, but is it something? And I don't know what we do, and I don't to as far as I know, it's not divulged. How many days are you hitting? How many days are you in pads and helmets? Like I would like to know down the road, is it something to do with that too? And do we change some things moving forward? Because I know it's been a progression, because Dan Kimball's talked about it when these guys were all young rookies, because the core of our team is pretty locked in. When these guys were young, I know we were banging our heads against the wall a lot. And he said he's kind of tapered that back. Have we tapered it back enough? But I mean, hindsight's always 2020. We got a staff of just darn near everybody on our staff has been in the NFL as a player, so they get it, they understand. But we got a hard-nosed, tough, gritty coach. Are we getting too gritty at practice inside the den? Let us get a little insight on that.
Yeah, maybe that's a reason why they didn't release that, and it's probably a good thing now because we'd have a lot more insight. But did you see what Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs said
I did
after
not.
yesterday's game? He said the same thing, not word for word, but same thing about these, games being crowded into such a small span that he's going to go to the union and talk about this. Like, I don't need a bye in week 4 when I have later in the season 3 games in 11 days. That's when I probably need a bye. Like,
Yeah.
And he's a player. He obviously knows, but I think he was on board with the same thing I was saying. Like, if you're going to schedule these Thursday games, have a bye week the week before. Don't do 3 games in 11 days. It's too much, man. This is a violent football game that we play. All right. These guys are getting bigger, faster, stronger, meaner, smarter. And these collisions are just taking a toll on people's bodies. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. These are still mostly young guys that we're talking about getting injured, but I don't know, Will. This Lions team is just decimated. But hey, I'm not going to complain when we're 11-1. So we're finding ways to win. We're finding ways to figure it out.
I'm going to complain. I'm going to complain when we're 11-1, and it's because the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers keep winning. And so it's not like we have some 3-4 game lead on the division or on our conference even. You know what I mean? These guys are competing. These guys have some good records as well. There's some other teams that we're continuing to compete with. So when I'm looking at a D line where Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Pascal, maybe they're not done for the season, but they're going to miss time. We've already talked about the starters that are gone for the season. Broderick Martin hangs out with me on Sundays. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Broderick had pads on Sunday. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
He did. I don't think he got in the game, but I did notice in at least warmups he had pads on.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on that end, man, but it's just we got to figure some things out, because I didn't even know what this looks like as far as going into the next couple of weeks. So if we don't have Levi Onwuzurike or Josh Pascal, man, like if neither one of those guys are playing, we got a very, very, very light room. I know we signed somebody. Who was it? Jonah Williams?
Yeah, from the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, veteran guy, but I mean, he's a guy that when I looked him up, that's not a good sign. Yeah, because I'm not gonna say I'm the best dude in the world, but I would label myself as a football guy. When you sent to me that we picked him up off the practice squad, I was like, who? Let me look him up real quick. So maybe I don't know much about football as I thought I did, and then when I looked him up, he's a depth piece. He's a guy that's played in a lot of games or whatever, but 2 sacks, I think, over his whole career. I don't think he's a guy that's pushing the needle anywhere. He looks like a depth piece to me. I haven't got an opportunity to watch film and really dig into him, but Steve, maybe you know more. How do you feel about him?
I don't know much. I know that his name is Jonah Williams and that he plays football. And like I said, we're literally just grabbing people and grabbing bodies and throwing them out there. Now, I understand the boat we're in. I understand the position. We're banged up, we're injured. You're not going to find Hall of Famers on other teams' practice squads. Like, that doesn't happen. We're literally just plucking guys and hoping that they can buy us time until we get healthy. That's what this move is to me. It's just hey, I need you to come here for 2-3 weeks, play football, do a good job, get your paycheck, take care of your family. When Levi and Pascal are healthy again and we're ready to go, then we're probably going to cut ties with you. That's what I think this move is. I don't think it's anything like, I'm not going to get on here and bullshit. I don't think it moves the needle at all either. I think this is literally, if anything, the analogy I would put on it is this is a guy who's got a bucket and he's just taking water out of the canoe, hoping that it doesn't go down. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And testament to, I'm gonna pat our own selves on the back, and I'm gonna talk a little bit of shit for us, Steve, because so you got some of you guys get in here in the comments and say that we get on here and lie and bullshit, and I tell you, we don't do that. If we don't know something, we don't get on here and say that we know. And if we think that something is a story, we come out and talk about it. If we don't talk about it. So we never come on here looking for clicks. We're not on here looking to break some clickbait. I think we were called rage baiters, and shame
Yeah.
on you guys who called us rage baiters, because when we put evidence, you didn't apologize. I don't mind you calling us rage baiters if you think that, but when we post the evidence, just get, hey man, my bad. That's all I'm looking for. Hey man, my bad. I thought, this and the other, but we don't get on here and do that, guys. So this is a guy we'll see. I'll do some film study. We'll dig into him and see what he is. But when I'm looking into this D line, I'm really looking at now. We got what? DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Zadarius, and Al Muhammad. Like we're going into this game, we're looking at probably a lot of snaps from Trevor Nowatzki, probably playing some edge snaps, figuring that out. We're going to be looking at Jonah Williams probably immediately getting out there, and then we're going to be doing some interesting things. The one thing that I am excited for is to see what Aaron Glenn does in this situation, because I think you're going to see Ben Neiman, Trevor Nowatzki, Al Muhammad, maybe even Jack Campbell doing. I know it's something that they've tried in the past of getting him some edge work and stuff like that. So I think we're going to see Aaron Glenn really have to use his football acumen to do some things to keep this thing competitive.
I don't know how big Aaron Glenn's shed is, but he's going to have to use every damn tool in it, because when I look at Jonah Williams, we're talking about a guy that's coming off of a practice squad, and he's going to be a coin flip. Like, does he come out as a starter when we introduce the defense on Thursday? Like, that is a huge step. Like, I'm just trying to paint the picture. Like, practice squad to now I'm starting for an 11-1 football team.
Yeah,
that's where we are. Like, the story isn't Jonah Williams. The story, I think, behind this episode is concerns. Like, how much longer can this go on? These guys are just being brought into to stop the clock, like get these guys back to know where we need them to be. Josh Paschal and Levi Onwuzurike, just kind of band-aids on a bullet hole right now. Like, it's getting bad.
Yeah. I will say at least that he's a guy who's played in the league. He played in, I think, 17 games last year and 16 games, but I don't know what the snap count was. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he was probably a rotational piece, because if he was anything more than that, I truly believe I would know more about him. But whatever, it is what it is.
What else you got for today, William?
Let's get into some fun stuff.
Yeah,
right?
it's doom and gloom here today.
Yeah, let's get into some fun stuff. So listen, Steve, are you tracking this? I know you know about it, but I feel like it went from this to now this thing is huge, man. This Sonic and Knuckles deal.
Yeah, I was not expecting this to be like a season-long thing. I thought it was just like a cute, fun little nickname, but they're really buying into this persona. They're really like, I think it really hit me this past Thanksgiving when they were introducing the offense, and both of them came out of the tunnel together when they introduced the running backs. I was like, man, that's a first. It's kind of cool. And then, yeah, I noticed, you got the picture. I noticed what they, that and what they were
show
wearing.
Up. Yeah, they show up to the game like this with the I don't know, like the characters, the mascots. They got the varsity jackets, right? So, and then notice the shoes. Notice the shoes, because then they show up game time with these cleats on. Like, these guys are really buying into this Sonic and Knuckles. I'm enjoying it. Scotty Montgomery has a little commercial where they're doing a Sonic and Knuckles thing. So I just think that I'm really enjoying that these guys are having a good time. It's not just these guys playing football all the time. It's not all these guys just being serious. These guys are having a good time. There was a little press conference with Jared Goff. I got a snippet from that. If you haven't seen this, and somebody sent it to me on Twitter, I didn't see the whole thing, but I just think that it speaks to these guys having a great time. I'm going to throw that in real quick.
About David and your favorite thing about Jameer?
Oh man, my favorite thing about David, gosh, I think my favorite thing seriously about David is how serious he takes pass protection and how much he wants to protect me, and then how funny he is. That's like one of my other favorite things about him. My favorite thing about Jameer, I think how much fun he's having when he's playing. Like that, it brings out the joy in me, the kid in me, and he's my son,
He's my son.
So I mean, these guys are having a good time. Now, I didn't put the whole thing in there because we'd have been watching it forever, but Jared Goff is just trying to do a press conference, and these dudes just roll up, and then David Montgomery is just staring at him, and then Ja pops up on the other end. They're just having a good time, and I love to see it. I feel like we're witnessing a family coming together, a brotherhood. It's bigger than just football, and I think that's one of the things that's kind of the cherry on top. That's it helps us with being so successful. Are you seeing that out of this team, Steve?
Yeah, the first thing I noticed is David Montgomery really that short? Because he makes Jared Goff look like an absolute giant. Like, I know Jared Goff's like what, 6'3", 6'4", or something like that, but seeing David Montgomery just like right at Jared Goff's shoulder, I was like, dang, I didn't realize how short of a bowling ball David Montgomery is. But yeah, I mean, I never got into the whole Sonic universe or anything like that. Like, I'm not familiar with any of those characters from the video games, but it's fun. And I noticed the shoes when they came out of the tunnel, it stuck out like a sore thumb, red cleats with blue jerseys. You're obviously going to notice that. I noticed J-Mo had on his Kobe Grinch cleats too. It's fun to see these guys having a little personality. Like, I've heard the NFL, called like the not for long league, but sometimes I call it the no fun league, because the NFL doesn't let these guys just be themselves. Sometimes, like, you're kind of picky with like touchdown celebrations now. So it's nice that a couple games a year, these guys can at least put on cleats that they, design. I think as much as I have to hate Josh Allen for the next couple weeks, seeing some of the stuff he does with kids in children's hospitals and the cleats that he's putting on and he's going to be wearing whenever that game is that the NFL does that, like a special cleat thing. I don't know what it's called, but putting names of kids like that, like that's what matters. And having fun is, this is a kid's game. These guys get paid a lot of money to play a kid's game. It's nice to see a little personality coming out.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Last question for you, Steve, before we get out of here, unless you got something else.
I got nothing. I'm heartbroken today. Like, it's just not a good day in the Perkins household. I'll just leave it at that. You know what's going on, Will.
I get it. Decimated D-line, beat up linebacking core, secondary a little banged up. Not getting too much into our game day episode coming up. Do we have enough to keep pushing this needle forward, or as you say, kicking the can down the road to continue to win football games?
For me, I think I'm in the position where Aaron Glenn gets a pass, even if the defense doesn't play well. So I think if I'm anybody, the offense has to really be elite these next few weeks until we guys get healthy. Like, the offense is mostly healthy, like minus Sam Laporta. He's got a little something going on. This offense needs to be firing on all cylinders. We talk about complimentary football. Listen, this defense is banged up. They need a little help. Offense, we need to see about 40 points a game. Aaron Glenn, if we're giving up 30, I understand what's going on. Hopefully that's not the case. But, we have enough to win. I mean, we don't have to look at just the defense. As a football team, we have enough to win.
So don't panic.
I'm not panicked at all. We're 11-1. We've been dealing with key injuries at major positions since the Arizona game when we lost Marcus Davenport. So, I mean, this has been a season-long thing, and we've overcame it so far. So I don't see anything stopping. So as frustrated as I am, I still have complete faith.
Love it, man. So, guys, you heard it. I was freaking out a little bit. Steve has calmed me down. I know people have been freaking out in the comments. Some, not everybody, but there's a solid group that's kind of freaking out about these injuries and about some other things that are interesting. But anyways, so guys, let's just chill. We're doing great. We're having a great season. We're finding a way to win. As Coach Campbell and Steve says, we're playing complimentary football. When one group is struggling a little bit, we're picking the other group up, man. So Steve is pretty much guaranteed a Super Bowl. So book your tickets to Nylons.
Your ticket's not already booked?
I'm telling them to book their tickets.
Shame on you, Will. My ticket's been booked since we kicked the ball off on week 1. So stick around.
I'm saying, mine's booked. They got to book theirs.
Mine's been booked for a while, guys. That's all for today. Leave some comments down below. We covered quite a bit. Hit that like button. Leave some comments. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.